It's the Elsa Kurt Show with Clay Novak. Serving up trending news and conservative views. Brought to you by the Elsa Kurt Collection. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
Well, hey there. Another week, another bunch of topics. How are you, Clay?
I'm good. Yeah, just like this current administration, nothing slows down.
Nothing. Nope. We don't slow down, not for anything. Neither does the news cycle. Lots of great topics today. We got, how many do we have? I meant to count it. 1, 2, 6. We got 6 topics today. Yeah. I think we can get through them. We could do it.
I think we should. I think as always, we'll let it flow and we'll hit what we can. But we'll get started right after this. Hey folks, Clay Novak here, author of the novel Keep Moving, Keep Shooting. So what I've got here is the Boo Boo 2.0 basic first aid kit. This is the one that you throw in your glove box, throw in the trunk of your car, keep in the house. It's got your Band-Aids, antiseptic wipes, those kinds of things for scrapes and cuts, and some more significant. There is a tourniquet in here. But Boo Boo 2.0, this is the kit that you need all the time. Again, refugemedical.com. You can find it there. Definitely a useful kit. Use the discount code KMKS at checkout. Get yourself 10% off. Refuge Medical, not only buy their equipment, but get their training. Refuge Medical offers training as well. Keep moving, keep shooting.
Spring is knocking. Ready to refresh your vibe? The Elsa Kurt collection has everything from page-turning reads to eye-catching fashion, guaranteed to add a little sunshine to your season. Calling all statement makers, Elsa's pieces are designed to turn heads and bring confidence to your closet. But that's not all. Love a good book? Elsa's got your next favorite read waiting just for you. Don't miss Elsa's Amazon affiliate store, filled with hand-picked beauty treasures, home must-haves, and daily essentials. It's like a personal shopping spree made easy. Make this spring your season. Shop the Elsa Kurt collection today and let the fun begin.
Well, then, lots of topics, as we said. Right off the bat, everybody's talking about the potential for a government shutdown, or partial shutdown, or full shutdown.
I think it's total shutdown. It's based off the continuing resolution and the budget. It's all about the money, but it's not really about the money. I mean,
right.
It just made it through the House yesterday. I guess, okay, folks, it's 5:30 Eastern time on Wednesday. We always got to make sure we clarify.
We do.
Yeah, so it made it through the House yesterday, straight party line vote. And I despise straight party line vote. It's like that. It's a bunch of lemmings. It's terrible that it comes to that. But it's a message from the Democrats that they are willing to shut down the government based on politics.
Yeah.
Not really what's right for the country, but on politics.
Absolutely. And, no surprise, nothing new. This is what they do. They don't give a hoot about this country or the people in this country. They care about grandstanding and making their point and just simply opposing anything that Donald Trump is going to do. No matter what he does, they're going to oppose it. So you get a couple, breakaways. There was something where what was just recently, like 8 Democrats.
It's the censure of
yes, that's
Al
what
Green.
It was.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. So you got a couple people that are sick and tired of the nonsense and agree with what you're saying, that, not going to just vote on party lines just because. But yeah, this is going to be the deadline. Did I say that right? The deadline is March 14th. So that's, literally,
Friday.
Friday. So, the thing is, this is largely about Doge, right? This is largely about Elon Musk, him cutting all of these or finding all of these, wacky, crazy, sneaky, dirty expenditures that are going here, there, and everywhere. And they don't like it. They're mad because they don't want the money to stop going in their pockets. That's really what it is,
Yeah, it's that's I just had this conversation today with someone, and it was, don't you think everybody sees through what the Democrats are doing? And I said, well, of course they do. You've got all of the big heads now. Everybody's kind of doing this continuing post-mortem on the election 4 months later on why they lost. And so James Carville, who, truthfully has been back and forth a little bit, the waning weeks of the election. I think somebody wrote him a big fat check and he talked about how great Kamala was, even though just days before that, he talked about what a mess she was. Anyway, so Carville's been saying it. John Fetterman's been saying it. You've got senior former Obama advisors that are saying it, that you've got, the Democratic Party is in this, they're tearing themselves apart because there's tons of infighting right now, but there's this loss of identity, and all they know right now is to oppose anything and everything that Trump does.
Right.
And until they can get past that, they're going to continue to lose. So this is an example of that. It's just like you said, they are all amped up. They see this as an opportunity to shut the government down, and it's solely based on the existence and the work that Doge has done so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as you said, they are, as a party, they're in a tailspin. They have no identity. They are, and Trump, and I do believe that this was very deliberate and intentional in a lot of ways, and also just simply the way things went, because they're moving so fast at everything. They don't, and we talked about this before, they don't know which way to turn. They don't know where to attack, because the minute they start attacking what he's doing here, he's doing something over there, and then they have to run over there and attack that. And so they can't keep up. They can't keep up. And like you said, they're infighting. They're just a mess, and then there's the old school, back in the day, Democrats that are, clinging onto their party and trying to figure out what's going on and what's going to happen, and I find it fascinating. You can just sit back and take your popcorn and be really objective about it and just watch the show as it goes on. I'm very curious what's going to happen. Can the old school Democrats reclaim their party? Is it gone? These radical Marxist progressive knuckleheads, or what? What do you think?
Yeah. So they've got to figure out that the party line vote right now doesn't work, because they don't hold a majority in anything. They can vote party line in the House. They can vote party line in the Senate. It does nothing, literally nothing, because if they vote party line, they've got to get some Republicans to come with them. And, in some cases, maybe in ones and twos at the most, they can get some folks to change over, but not enough to change the outcome of a vote. Actually, the only kind of surprise right now is in the Supreme Court, which not that long ago, you had the entire Democratic Party screaming. We talked about this, packing the court, extending, making the court larger. They wanted to get more justices in there so they could flip. And really what happened just this past week, Amy Coney Bryant voted against what President Trump was looking for, and he defended her for it.
Yeah.
Right. He stood up in front of America and said, listen, this is a legal battle. It's a legal decision. This is the way she voted. I backed her. She's a Supreme Court justice. That's her decision. Okay, fine. So, they can do all the party line stuff all they want. It affects absolutely nothing. All it does is show the rest of the country that they are adamantly opposed to anything that President Trump is doing. And that is their only strategy. Their only strategy is to oppose everything, and it stops absolutely nothing. So it's if they don't change something, if they don't figure this out, 2026 is going to be a wash.
As I said before, I hope they keep doing all of these crazy things that they're doing. And in case in point, they are desperate to find an untapped demographic. I'm sure you've seen them. There's been a couple of videos out. I did some videos on them. You have what's her name, Rosa DeLauro from Connecticut, the purple haired lady. She's so meme worthy. She made this unbelievably, embarrassingly cringeworthy, or apparently, as she would say, being like the kids, cringe video, using all of the the cool slang words that 13-year-olds use. She's referring to them as Gen Z, which they technically are, but they're at the beginning of Gen Z. They're the babies of Gen Z. So Gen Zers who are, I forget what the age goes up to, 20 something or other. They're not saying these things. That the 20 somethings are not using these. That's your voter base right now, not the 13-year-olds. It was horrendous. And then of course the one with the choose your fighter. Did you see that one? Oh, it's so painful. It's so painful. They're grasping. They're just grasping anything that they can hang on to, because they've lost everything.
Yeah, and you even had Hakeem Jeffries. We've got him on the run. I don't know if you saw that one. So
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, so one, he's a horrible public speaker. Two, he's just as bad off of a teleprompter, which is amazing. But he did a commercial where he was talking about how we have the Republicans on the run, right? We have the GOP on the run. He actually said on the run like 17 times probably in a 2.5 minute, little burst. And it was all kind of broken and like none of it was fluid. And so they are grasping at straws. You had Ilhan Omar, I think it was her, was talking about how stupid Americans are, how stupid the Trump voters are. She's just insulting half of America.
Yeah.
So they're really just trying to grab anything they can, and this potential shutdown is not going to help them. One, it's not going to go through, and two, if it does go through by some miracle, they're going to catch the blame for it. So, as it stands right now, they're not doing themselves any favors. So I don't expect it to pass. I think, come Friday, it'll vote in the Senate, it'll pass. President will sign it. We'll continue to move forward. It's not a budget. It's a continuing resolution. We would much rather have an actual fiscal, budget, but we're 6 months into, halfway through the federal fiscal year. So it's not looking good, but regardless, I think it's a, failed attempt by the Democrats to stop Doge, to stop President Trump, to gain themselves a bargaining chip or whatever it is that they're trying to do. It's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. And all the while they shout, is this what you voted for? Yes. How many times can we say it? Yes. This is what we voted for. Like, I don't know what they think this gotcha moment is that does not exist. Like, yes, this is what we knowingly voted for. This is why I just had somebody on my, I actually don't go on my personal Facebook page anymore. One, because it's filled with advertisements and nonsense and stupid things. You don't even actually communicate with people anymore on there, right? And I know everybody's noticed that. So I generally just use my business page, my business profile page. I went on my personal page yesterday, and I saw an acquaintance post, one of the usual, the big anti-Trump, orange man bad, Trump, you Trumpers. And that was the part that got me. The you Trumpers, you MAGAs, just that terminology. Now, I don't take offense to those terms. I take offense that he was trying to offend. You know what I mean? Now, this isn't some faceless stranger that you're directing this to. Again, personal page, not my pro page. Everybody can say whatever they want, argue with me, knock yourself out. Call me a Trumper on that page. I don't care. But you're somebody who supposedly knows me in real life or knows us in real life, our friends or family, whatever the case is. And this is how you're talking to people that I got a problem with that, so I did what I very rarely do these days. I got on my little soapbox and I gave a little lecture about behaving like a civil, decent human being and remembering those things. But oh my gosh, this is what they do. It's just screaming and hysteria, and no matter what goes on, they're going to fight it tooth and nail, despite the fact that it's all for the good of the country. Obviously, the tariffs. If you say that go online and say the price of eggs is going down, they'll lose their minds on you.
Gas too.
Yes, gas
down, 4-year low. Down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I've been taking a page out of your book. I've been minimizing my responses to people on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I can't help myself, but I've been trying to model myself a little bit better after you. But you're right. I mean, it's Trumpers, MAGA, those are becoming slurs.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. It's kind of good, kind of interesting because half of the population uses it as a rallying cry, and half the population uses it as a derogatory slur. So,
right.
The terms like that aren't going away. But it's all about everybody's different view about how these things should be done. I think you're right. I think in their heart of hearts, with a few exceptions of some senior level politicians, I don't believe that people want what's worst for the country. I do believe there are people out there that are out there for their own benefit, but I think it's a matter of how they see things differently and how to get it done. And I know that Doge is and all of these cuts at the federal level are probably the biggest point of contention.
Right.
But again, we've said it before. If you don't like it, then vote different. Like, get a better candidate. Like, this is,
that right there, Clay, you're right. Get better candidates that can actually get the votes, that don't have to be basically like snuck through the back door and forced on the people. Like, I don't know, Kamala. Oh, by the way, can we segue for a second? Did you see the word salad?
The Doritos?
The Doritos? What? What?
Even after so many months of not listening to the word salad, I got about 7 seconds into it and I was like, nope. I had to stop. I couldn't do it.
So I forced myself to watch it. Yeah.
So I was willing to give up whatever might be the tracking of Kamala Harris's particular fondness for nacho cheese Doritos for the sake of getting a big bag of Doritos as I watched the Oscars.
That's the consumer behavior.
And that's right, but here's the thing. At what point do we also uplift and highlight the consumer's right to also expect, and you can debate with me if it should be a right, I think it should, to expect that the innovation would also be weighted in terms of solving their everyday problems, which are beyond my craving for Doritos, but about whatever, and I know the work is happening around, the scientific discoveries, for example, to cure long-standing diseases. But I'm going to throw out another one. And you all, again, please get back to me any information you have. I would love it if there would be an investment of resources in solving the affordable housing issue in America.
And I kept playing it over and over thinking, now I'm going to hear what the segue is into what you're saying. Like, where were the transitions? It went from my love of Doritos and I don't know, sacrificing, I don't even know. Nobody knows, and nobody can tell you how she got from one to the other. It was such a mess. And I thank her. I thank her for giving me an opportunity to revisit her for a brief moment and get to remind everybody what a mess.
But again,
what a disaster we avoided.
That's what they put in front of everybody.
Yeah, that's what they put in front of everybody. So, I mean, be mad all you want.
Yes.
I would suggest instead of being mad, just be better. Just do better. That's all. Right.
And again, so we do have Doge stuff going on. I mean, Elon is doing what Elon does along with his, that horrific crew of 20-year-old genius. It's like those kids are being vilified, and I'm sure they're probably laughing like crazy, but
I'm sure they are. How could they not right now? Like they're sitting back, just, having the time of their lives. This is like the opportunity of a lifetime, and they're killing it. They're killing it. And like you said, laughing the whole way. Yeah. So this is, I guess I should know this, but I don't. Are their identities protected? Because I think they should be based on the lunacy.
I have not seen a single name.
I haven't either. Okay.
So I'm not saying they're not out there, but I haven't seen them. So I think they're protecting these kids as they should. Like
absolutely,
they should be.
Yeah,
like witness protection kind of protection for a very
I mean, well, listen, look what Elon Musk is going through right now. Besides, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the cyber attack on X. That's our main topic here with this. But of course, as everybody's probably seen over the last few days, the attacks on the Tesla plants and car vehicles and all of that. They're just bonkers. It's the nicest thing I can say. Like they thought this was a good idea to do that, but that's what they're doing. Anything that has to do with him, they are going full throttle. I think I just saw something. I think he walks around with a crew of like 20 bodyguards at all times. Yeah. At all times, 20 bodyguards, and obviously rightly so. I don't know if you saw I only saw a clip of it because we know that's what I do. I see the clips. Elon was talking to, I don't know if it was Sean Ryan. I forget who he was talking to. But he was, basically asked a question, maybe it's Joe Rogan, asked a question that he kind of wouldn't answer. He chose to not answer because he's right. Did you see that? Yeah. If he's, basically if I talk about this, I'm going to get killed. Like I will get killed if I even talk about this.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah. It was Rogan and they were talking about the insider trading that goes on inside Congress.
Thank you.
And he said he started to talk about it and then he stopped and he's like, listen, if I keep going on this, something bad's going to happen. And Rogan's like, what are you talking about? He goes, they'll kill me. Like if I keep talking about this, like somebody's going to come kill me.
Yeah.
So, and that's, again, it's a guy who's got literally all the money in the world to spend on personal security.
Yes.
He was shook, like that was, he was definitely not comfortable talking about that stuff. So,
yeah. And I think that really merits, like for everyone, some serious pause.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, it is that bad. It's worse than what we think. It's worse than what we know. That's bad. It's really scary. And, and it's just another reminder, like, this guy didn't have to do any of this. He doesn't have to do any of what he's doing. And, and thank God he's doing it, because.
And the spray painting vandalism, the attacks on all the Tesla drivers, like not 12 months ago, like you were a hero for driving a Tesla because you were saving the environment, right? That was as green could get. And like, Tesla drivers, it was a status symbol and it was cool. And, like everybody was all about it. It was good for the environment. And now, just because he's working for President Trump,
right?
Like, you could have a 3-year-old Tesla that you bought off the showroom floor and you've been driving it for the last 3 years. But if you didn't immediately turn around and sell that thing, like as soon as Doge kicked off or as soon as he endorsed President Trump, like it's escalated now. They're literally destroying vehicles, privately owned, like, parked on the street in the city, in a neighborhood, just because of, Elon Musk. Like, people have lost their ever-loving mind.
Yeah. Completely gone. I just saw a video just shortly before we came on here, a video of a deranged, Democrat chasing down a Tesla family in their Tesla and literally chasing the car as it's driving and beating on the windows and screaming, God knows what at them. I mean, this is a level of unhinged lunacy that the left, and I'm talking about the elite lefts, the media, the politicians, all these, they are 100% responsible for these people behaving the way that they are. They unleashed the craziest side of people with all of this, and they did it intentionally. This was all planned out, all intentional, and no one will ever convince me otherwise. I don't think anybody's going to try to, but they wouldn't.
And I was just having this conversation. Do you remember, like, right before COVID, there was this weird rash of people like dressing up as clowns in public, and they would like stand in an alley or they would stand in a parking lot, they'd have a big hammer or a bat or something, and then they were randomly chasing people, right? Like, it was always amazing to me that nobody got shot.
Yeah. How is that even possible?
Right?
I can guarantee you, if that happened to me, that would be the outcome. I am such a cliche. I have an extreme clown aversion. I saw one of those things, like, I know, everybody has a clown aversion. I have it. I don't care. I'm not sorry. Yeah, bad things would happen. So thank goodness.
So that, it never happened. It was a weird thing. And then COVID hit and then it all kind of went away. But this, like, running alongside, attacking people for driving a specific car, physically accosting them, scaring, like, someone is going to get shot for this. Like, that's, if this continues and it continues to escalate, because that's what's going on, is it's escalating, someone is going to get hurt. And I can tell you that it's not going to be the people who own the Tesla.
Right.
It's going to be somebody who has got a can, a rattle can and spray paint, or they've got a whatever, and they're damaging a car, or they're attacking a family getting in a car, something like that. Someone's going to get hurt. And it's just this, like you said, unhinged, lunacy.
Right.
Like, the guy's driving a car, the lady's driving a car,
just living his life. That's it. They're not doing anything. Like, they're literally just driving their vehicle that they bought with their money, or make payments on with their money. I mean, come on. It's just insane. And the craziest part too is that if someone from the left watches this, just this segment, I know for a fact their response would be, I can't believe you care more about the vehicle than someone's life, and that you're justifying killing somebody for beating on a car. I am.
This is, there is a saying that says, I can't believe that you value, what is it? I can't believe that you value your possessions more than you value someone's life. And it's like, well, clearly they value my possessions more than they value their own life. So if you want to take that turnaround, So, so even now it's escalated to, now we've got a cyber attack on X, right? And so I was actually in the middle of, I was trying to post a blog on Monday, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like,
I went nothing was working. I thought it was just me.
So weird, right? I was literally hit it right in the middle of whatever was going on. And so now what they're saying is it was a pro-Ukrainian, pro-Ukrainian hacker group who, put a cyber attack on X.
Yeah.
I think it
Dark
lasted.
Storm team.
Yeah, maybe an hour or two.
Mhm.
They got it under control. But people can they forget, like, the entire communications network for the Ukrainian army
Mhm.
is done with Starlink.
Yes.
And if Musk wanted to if he wanted to end the Ukrainian army,
Mhm.
all he has to do is turn that off.
Right.
They're done. Long range communication gone. Right? They would be overrun so quickly it wouldn't even be funny. So
Right.
he's not anti-Ukraine.
No.
Like, these people have got this stuff so twisted and backwards that they don't even know what they're doing. Like, if you want to have him turn off Starlink, be pro-Ukrainian and then attack him. Like, that is just, it doesn't make any sense at all, but people are not thinking rationally in
No.
what they're trying to do. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And it's just par for the course, right? This is what they do. Everything that is, liberal leftist logic is synonymous with illogic, hypocrisy, all of the things. And this is another sad extension of that, or example of that. It's just absolutely insane. And so I guess, so now they did also say that, the IP address came from the Ukraine area, but they're also saying that there's certainly a possibility that it was like a spoofing thing, because I guess you can fake that.
Yeah, you could bounce
right?
IP addresses, you can route it through different places, regardless. But again, you're not just affecting, actually, you're not even affecting Elon Musk. If you shut down X, like, it's nothing. It literally is nothing to him.
Yeah. You're halting communications for a hot second. You don't think he's going to fix it in a minute. You know what I mean? You don't think he's going to repair that and be right back on business. The people that you did hurt were and I'm not one of them, the maybe hundreds or thousands, I guess thousands of people who are monetized on the platform.
Sure.
You lost them a bunch of money, and those are people on the left and the right, because the people that hate Elon Musk now are also on X. Some of them left, of course, but or claim that they left. They're still there. They're still there. Unlike Rosie O'Donnell, who's apparently right.
You beat me to it.
Moved to Ireland and nobody noticed, so she had to come back and announce it. She's like, I moved. Hello, I moved to Ireland, and I'm there now because Trump. Women are unsafe because of Trump.
Go hang out with
like, nobody knew you were gone, and nobody cares.
Ridiculous.
Least of all, President Trump.
Yeah. But, again, this is all resultant of everything that he's doing, and at the behest of the president, the request of President Trump to initiate Doge, to get that team of 20-year-old geniuses and unleash the federal government. And again, this is what we voted for. I still will not. I can't grasp the concept of anybody who says, "Oh, my friend worked at USAID, they got fired. Oh, my friend worked at such and such, they were a probationary employee, they got fired. Oh, this is awful." I get it. It's your friend. I got it.
Sure.
Really. But if you're upset about your friend losing their job, and you're not upset about the hundreds of millions, potentially billions of dollars that have been stolen from the American public, including you, that if you're more worried about that person versus what else, everything else that's been going on, I'll never be able to grasp that concept.
No, we are not the same, right? We are just not the same. If that's your value system, the trillions of dollars stolen from the American people, like you said, including your own pocket, your family. Your priorities are a little weird, to say the least, right?
Yeah.
Again, if this were Biden, if this was Kamala Harris, if this was anyone that they put forward, they would be cheering and getting those Nobel Peace Prizes and whatever awards and medals.
Get him engraved early. Yeah.
Right. I mean, they would already be done. He'd be, Times Person of the Century. Yeah. Come on. I mean, we all see through it. Like you said before, everyone sees through it. Nobody's falling for this garbage anymore, and I think that's probably what's causing them to escalate even more. Like, this is sheer desperation now, frantic desperation, and that's what makes them scary, and we laugh about it, we make fun, and we shake our head and all those things, but they are legitimately scary people, because they are of the mindset that they have nothing to lose, because they think somehow they've lost everything already, and the world is ending, so this just sends them even further into their dark abyss of insanity.
Yeah. And it's, so now we've got a full cabinet. right?
Mhm.
Everybody's been confirmed now. Everybody that, I think, what did he lose? 2? Matt
Did
Gates?
even I actually don't well, are you counting
Gates was 1.
yeah. Was there another
Maybe,
one? I don't even know, to tell you the truth.
may have just been him.
It might have just been him.
But everybody else made it, right?
Yeah.
So in record time, by the way.
Mhm.
So they all got through, including, Mrs. WWE herself, Lady McMahon,
Yes.
who got put in charge of the Department of Education. And, Doge is already in there. Actually, I don't even know if Doge has to, but I think she's in there cleaning house. They've already, the imminent departure of about 50% of the Department of Education is happening.
Yep.
And people, of course, it's the same reaction.
Right. Yeah, I saw. You see, what's her face? Randy Gardner. Is that her last name?
You're talking about the teachers union lady?
Yeah. Lose my mind.
So she, it's interesting because 6 months, right after the election,
Mm-hmm.
between the election and the inauguration, right? So that small window of about 60 days,
Yep.
somebody asked her about the elimination of DOE, and she said it doesn't matter. That was her reaction, less than 200 days ago.
Interesting.
She said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really affect anything. And now she's backpedaling, right?
Yep.
So yeah, she's very upset, and she's upset because, it's the idea that this shutting down the DOE, enabling school choice in all these families is going to somehow make education worse. Like we have a 27% literacy rate in 4th to 12th graders right now. Like it's so bad that you can't allow this to continue. Oh, by the way, they have an exorbitant budget that truthfully not a penny of it goes to actual education.
Right. Yeah, it was going a whole big, massive chunk was going to DEI initiative. So yeah, they are doing a very good job of convincing the half of the population that this means that public education is getting, destroyed. There's not going to be any public education. How are they going to get money to do, that is a massive lie. They're getting rid of the bureaucracy, the unnecessary middlemen, and they're giving the money, the funds directly to the states where it belongs, who it should go to, and hopefully who will be also monitored to make sure that those monies are going to actual education and not transgender this or, whatever. God knows what else they can come up with full of nonsense. So yeah, the mass hysteria that they're encouraging is just absurd.
Yeah, it's again, we're cutting out bureaucracy, which increases efficiency. Oh, by the way, that's the E in Doge, right? Maximizing efficiency, minimizing inefficiency, which allows the availability of more dollars to be applied where they're supposed to be applied, which is improving education for kids.
Yeah.
Right. It just happens to be at the state level, which it's pushing responsibility down to the states. Oh, by the way, that's the way the framers wanted it. And so the states have to own it.
Right.
And that's the way it works. My guess is, I'm not saying this is going to backfire. In some states, it's definitely going to backfire because what the states will do is they will, and I'm talking California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Minnesota, Michigan, all the culprit states, they're going to establish a much larger Department of Education at the state level.
Right.
They're going to build all of that crap right back in, right? That used to exist at the federal level that somebody else did. They're going to build it into their state DOEs. And then when we have this availability of more dollars, they're going to waste it on other stuff.
Yes.
They're going to waste it on generating more bureaucracy, big gov at the state level. And it's not going to go where it needs to go, which is to the kids.
Right. And of course, they will blame Trump. They'll somehow blame Trump for that happening. Right. Yeah. That's what they do.
Listen, and it'll be the same culprit places. Everybody will blame the big city school districts, right? And the mayors that go with them. Now, Mayor Adams is going to catch hell in New York, no matter what.
Right.
The mayoral office in Chicago has been a disaster for at least 10 years. And the current mayor's got a 6.6% approval rating. So you can complain about President Trump all you want, but Chicago Public School System, CPS, has its own problems, its own mess.
Yeah.
Go back to COVID. They were the ones that said, we're not your babysitters. We refuse to come to work. We're not, endangering our teachers. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. And it was very, very clear to the population that the teachers were not in it for the kids.
Right.
So, I would assume, I would hope, and I know that hope is not a course of action, and truthfully, it'll never turn out this way, but this extra money that we're going to save, that's going to get cut out of Doge, if that could get pushed down to, I don't know, teachers, for crying out loud, to pay them what they're worth. The biggest crime in America is that cops, teachers, firemen, soldiers, right? Teachers, especially in there, are not paid their value to the system, to the country.
Right.
We do need to figure out a way to increase pay for teachers.
Yeah.
We'll get, not that the candidates we have are bad. I'm not saying that, but you're going to get better candidates. You're going to get candidates that are going to stay for longer. They're going to stay teachers. They're not going to venture off into other things because, their pay is so low and it just doesn't make sense. They can't pay back their student loans and everything else.
Yeah. It's so simple, right? It's just common sense. If you want the best, pay for the best, get the best, retain the best. And the way to do that is to pay them what they're worth. Seems so simple. Why is it never so simple?
Listen, the only people that complain about high taxes and money actually going to school districts, the only people who complain about that are old people who don't have kids in school anymore.
That's very true.
I get it. I totally get it. If you're 65 and you live in a place where they have a high school tax and you're paying a lot of money and you resent that because your kids have been out of school for 35 years, okay, I get it. But
sure. I get it, but they're also wrong, because shame on you, because they're the same people shaking their fist at their TV saying, or at the teenagers walking down the street with their pants hanging down off their butts. And, that's what's wrong with the youth of America.
You're right.
No, what's wrong is you didn't invest in them.
That's a very good point.
Right?
That is a very good point. You're right.
You don't get to complain. That's, somebody told me that years ago, before I was ever even talking about politics and social issues, before it was ever even a twinkle in my eye. I was one of those people that did not get involved. I didn't know anything about politics. I didn't know anything of the things. And I complained about something in my town to someone who is very politically involved in our town. And I complained about something. She said, well, did you vote? And I said, no. She said, well, then you can't complain. You got nothing to say. And she was right. And I said, well, there's a little eye opener. There's a little, slap of reality. So I use that all the time. You don't get to complain, if you weren't part of the solution. If you're not part of the solution, you don't get to complain. That's that.
So, and, a great example of a state taking education, on itself. Great state of Arkansas. I don't know if you saw this. They have voted, it's passed. They are instituting mandatory gun safety training in public schools and public choice charter schools.
I love that. I love it.
Right. So, so they're developing the program now. And it could all the way, they're considering every option up to and including, I think at the high school level, off campus shooting experiences, right? To teach actual, firing gun safety kind of stuff. So the state took it on itself. They said, this is how we think we battle gun violence. We educate kids. We take away, you know what I mean? They've got, and the state's doing it, and the state's paying for it. And it's part of their Department of Education that's doing it.
I love it.
Right. So they're, and it's becoming part of the curriculum, which is exactly what I think the federal DOE, especially under the last administration, would have fought tooth and nail to prevent that from happening.
Absolutely. That for certain.
So we take the federal DOE out of the way. You've got states that are going to take this on. They're going to develop their own curriculum requirements based on their population, et cetera, et cetera. And this, state of Arkansas is a great example. So I see, and I'm not fully educated on everything that DOE does, but I can't justify the $680 million budget or whatever it is that they've got, some exorbitant amount of money for completely administrative purposes. So
and neither can they, if they were to be honest, neither can they, because the question always comes down to, all right, well, show me the test scores, show me the graduation rate,
Terrible.
show me what this money has done for the children. And if you can't show me something, we already know, where we are in our standing in education and all of the things. I just saw a girl suing her state, her district, whatever, for she graduated with like high honors, and she doesn't know how to read or write. I mean, come on. So, and of course, yes, public school.
Yep.
So, I applaud this move. Again, that was, a question that's one of my very liberal friends posted on Facebook, I think it was, are you happy? He's going to eliminate the Department of Education. Are you happy now? This is what you voted for? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes. I'll tell you what I'm not happy about, though. There was a promise made.
There was a promise made.
And we haven't seen it yet.
No.
I want to know, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel.
Yes.
Where are the files? And I don't want to hear national security. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's actually very concerning. Obviously, of course, that they're citing national security, because what that does, in my opinion, what that does is it gives the anti-Trumpers, the people who hate Trump, who have been trying to, say that he's on that list, that list. Yep. This kind of gives them some fuel and just stokes that more, like, oh, they're not releasing it because Trump's on it, So I don't know what happened here in the chain of this, and I don't know, who to blame for this. And maybe it is Pam Bondi. I don't really know. Could she have been just caught up in some, really unfortunate circumstances, overpromising before they knew really what was in there? I don't know. What are you thinking?
So I think the sequencing of who got approved mattered, right? So she got approved to be the Attorney General first, right, to run Department of Justice.
Right.
There was the delay with Kash Patel because he there was a little bit of pushback on him. So he took a little longer to get confirmed. There was that gap in there, right? And so we know for a fact that the New York office for the FBI was withholding files. We do know that for a fact. Oh, by the way, that director or deputy director, whatever he is, that ran that office, gone, which is good. But in the meantime, we all know that there was also a lot of things destroyed. A lot of files, a lot of information that was destroyed. But the expectation from Pam Bondi was, as soon as Kash Patel walked in, that he was just going to be like, oh, here's all the files, and hand it to her, which we all know is not a real thing. So I think she really thought that the FBI was prepared to hand over the documents when they weren't. So again, that's a little bit of overpromise. Now, my read on the whole national security thing, and I agree with you, anytime that you put that label on it, I think it's a bad look. But if that is in fact true, I don't think that it's a U.S. diplomat, a U.S. elected official that's on that list. Listen, we all know Bill Clinton's on it.
Of course,
that's
right.
not national security. Okay? That's not a thing. Yeah. Well, is Hunter Biden on there? Probably. Yeah. Again, is that national security? Is that not something that we would all go, well, of course he is.
Yeah.
I honestly think that there is a high level ally foreign dignitary, and I'm not talking Prince Andrew. I'm talking somebody with actual power.
Right.
I think there's somebody like that on the list that has an effect on our relationships or global relationships that we don't necessarily want to release. That's
Yeah. Well, that would make a lot of sense. It would make complete sense, and there's also that, you add another layer to that, there's victims names in all of this. I mean, these people have to be protected. So, there's a process to it. And I think, I think we had the right word for it, overpromised.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think everybody basically knew that the scope was wide, that this was big and very deep and very dirty and disgusting and awful. And a lot of things needed to be squared away first before things could be made public. And I get that. And I appreciate that. And I don't actually think they're wrong for doing that. I'm probably going to get attacked for saying that, but I don't care. Whatever. I just think they probably shouldn't have promised the timeline that they promised.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best I could say on it. Right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. It's, but again, to use monikers like, oh, it's national security. Like, okay. What we want is the unredacted, unedited, unaltered. That's what we all want.
Right.
They never should have promised that. Never.
Yeah.
Without seeing it.
Yes.
Right? If they had seen it and they said, yeah, we're going to release the whole thing because there's nothing in there that we can't share or don't want to share, that's one thing. But if you
Right.
say without seeing it, hey, we're gonna put it all out there, we're at total transparency without knowing what's in the files, that was a bad promise.
Yeah.
So
Now there's calls from people on the right for Pam Bondi to be removed. Do you think that's harsh? Do you think that's
way too early.
reasonable?
No, way too early for that.
Right.
I think, I don't know who's saying that. I hadn't heard that. Who is it? Is it like the usual rhino suspects? Is it Dan Crenshaw?
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is.
That's that's stupid, truthfully.
Mhm.
Like, nobody knows their job and is comfortable in their job in under 90 days. I don't care who you are or what the job
Right.
is.
Yeah.
It takes everybody and anybody, at least 180 days to be comfortable in their job.
Mhm.
And, it would be nice to be, except for President Trump, because he did it for 4 years and then came back. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But, the rest of the team, they've got to get settled. And she hasn't even been in 90 days yet. So,
right. They're dealing, the entire administration in every department is dealing with adversarial people who are supposed to not be adversarial. They're supposed to be, complying and doing their jobs. And so they're meeting resistance at every single level of what they're doing. We've got all of these operatives going on, and you see it every day in the news if you're watching the right news that this one is withholding, this one's shredding documents, this one is simply refusing to turn over documents or work or answer the 5 questions of what you did this week at your job. So they're meeting massive resistance. And of course, you mentioned the New York FBI director there who is now gone. So a little bit of leeway here, I think, is reasonable to ask for. And then, so then the other thing, I'm just looking at it now. So the other thing I just read today was apparently Kash Patel requested a direct line to the White House. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And of course, people are speculating about that. Why would he do that? Why would he kind of skip the chain of command? Is there some lack of trust that he has? And I guess it would be Pam Bondi, right? Would she be the next? Yeah. Okay. So he would answer to her.
Yep.
Okay.
So some of it is proximity. Some of it is availability. Some of it is, and listen, we don't even know. Like, he may have had a discussion with Pam Bondi and she said, yeah, go ahead. If you need to, if she trusts him enough to be like, hey, listen, if you think it's a direct to the president and you don't want to stop and talk to me first, and, I trust your judgment, just brief me afterwards. Like, there's a lot of business people, there's a lot of military leaders, there's a lot of folks who operate like that and they get applauded for it. But now we've got the, people who think that they want to make something out of it without knowing any of the details. So, he wants a direct line to the president. Okay, fine.
Right.
Maybe the two of them sat down. I think they were someplace together not that long ago. The two of them sitting down, and was it that Super Bowl? They were all chummy, President and Kash Patel. And President Trump might have leaned over and said, hey, let's get you a direct line to my office.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He's a pretty hands-on guy. So
Nobody knows. Like, there's so many variables in that. And truthfully, it's not like the president remembers you know what I mean? He's not going back and going to his communications director, go, hey, get me a direct line to Patel, Right. Or you may have said, hey, Kash, when you get back, put in a request, get a direct line to me, just handle it from your end and I'll wait and then we'll be okay. Right. But everybody likes to speculate and make where there's no.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is like, pot stirring. This is probably like, there's trouble in paradise. People who want to cause strife between, his party. And that's been going on from day one. Of course, they tried to,
Day one 8 years ago.
Yes. This is nothing new. And, Trump and the entire cabinet is sitting there going like, you really think this is our first rodeo here? Yeah. Like, get over yourselves. Yeah, absolutely.
And you said it, they're getting consumed at every turn by gatekeepers and obstructionists and, all this stuff. You remember when like the Clintons left the White House and they popped every W off of the key? Like, that was childish, thing, but I would take that over what's going on right now.
I would too. That's like some gentle, we
got bigger fish to fry. I mean, so one of our last topics here is we just had a pro-Assad uprising in Syria.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, we have a couple of hundred troops in Syria. Right. I know President Trump talked about bringing everybody home, but there's folks, operating out of Syria for a number of reasons, doing a number of different things. And so they're kind of caught in the middle of this. So, Assad was overthrown not all that long ago. You've got a new regime in there, and now what you've got are pro-Assad people in an uprising. And this wasn't like a January 6th kind of a thing. This is like belt-fed machine guns and then, oh, by the way, as part of this, they are persecuting and, oh, by the way, executing Christians in Syria.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, historically, there are a lot of nations, Middle East nations, that had deep, dense Christian populations for not just decades, but centuries. Big Christian population in Egypt, big Christian population in Iraq, big Christian population, Syria, Lebanon, like all in that area. They had pockets of lots of Christians, and they have all been run out or killed in the process.
Yeah,
and
beheaded.
And that's what's going on in Syria. This is like genocide, Christian genocide in Syria right now from this pro-Assad, uprising guerrilla group, whatever they're calling themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I can guarantee to you that most people on the left do not even know that this is happening. And why? Because the left-owned mainstream media isn't going to talk about it.
Nope.
Not on their priority list. If it's not DEI, if it's not Donald Trump, if it's not LGBTQ, XYZ, they don't care. If it's Christians, they don't care. Doesn't fit their pro-Islam narrative, or don't hurt anyone, Islam's feelings. It just doesn't count for them. But 745 Christians were killed in 48 hours as they dragged. This is just, I hate picturing these things, but I think to drive the point home, really picture what these poor people went through, dragged from their homes, tortured and executed. Churches were burned, entire families wiped out. 48 hours. Neighborhoods, of course, Christian neighborhoods targeted. And then, of course, the silence from, the mainstream media. I hate calling them the mainstream media, but that's what I'm going to call them. And their slogan, this is their slogan: first the Saturday people, meaning Jews, then the Sunday people, meaning Christians. That's their slogan. I'm speechless. It's actually anger.
I tell you what, for all the viewers out there, everybody who watches us, everybody who listens, whatever, if you find anywhere, everybody's got the I Stand With Ukraine signs in their front yard, and they're wearing the blue and yellow flag pins. If you find a I Stand With Christians in Syria sign, t-shirt, pin, emblem, anywhere at all, please contact Elsa and I want to see it, because I can promise you that does not exist at all.
Nope. But maybe I should make one. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What you should do is, do you have an auto pen? Do you have an auto pen?
We know somebody who had an auto pen. We know somebody who had one and went to town with it, or at least somebody did on his behalf. How about this? First of all, obviously, nobody's actually surprised here by any of it. But it's just wild to me that now we're finally talking about it.
So I managed an auto pen. When I was an aide de camp for then Lieutenant General Rodriguez in Kabul in 2010-11, we had an auto pen in the office. Okay. For those that don't know what an auto pen is, it is a mechanical device, right? You register a signature, right, in the computer. And then when you needed to sign something, you put a literal ink pen or felt pen or Sharpie or whatever it is into the machine. You type in the code, because they're all coded to make sure that not everybody has access. You type in the code, you put the paper in there, you hit the, it's all lined up, and you hit the button, and it replicates the signature. It's a real signature with a real pen. Okay.
That's really cool, actually.
It replicates the signature that's registered in the computer. Okay. They, again, with the code controlled. Okay. There were two people besides my boss. There were two people that had that code, me and one other person. That was it. So anytime that thing was used, there was only a couple people that had the code to do that. We only used it for award certificates. Everything else, right?
Right.
Because that was one of those things that, one, we wanted a real signature on. Two, hundreds of those things were produced.
Sure.
So, but anything else, official documents, and truthfully, those were only lower level awards, like the very important awards. And we're talking about Valorous, Silver Star kind of stuff. My boss signed those himself. Okay. Yeah. But anything official, that autopen was used so rarely it had dust on it. Like we would have to clean it before we used it.
Right.
But clearly the one in the Oval Office was used on a regular basis. What did they say? They can find one thing?
Yeah, I'm looking through my notes here. Yeah. It's so definitely used considerably more than, and it's, as you said, it's a common practice to have that, to use that in those types of situations.
Oh, for sure.
But they're used, like you said, with infrequency and for certain occasions. This was apparently used on nearly everything, with the exception of Biden's letter.
Yes,
Biden's letter that he wrote, right? That was like the only thing that it was not on, out of, I don't even know, hundreds. I don't know.
He wrote it and signed it in Delaware. He wasn't in the White House when he did it.
Right.
So, yeah. So literally and again, folks, what this does is the president doesn't have to be there. Right. He doesn't have to authorize what's being signed. And the only control you have over the code is who you give it out to. It's just like your PIN on your ATM, like or your credit card. Like you have it, maybe your spouse or your significant other has it, maybe your kid has it, but that's it. Like those are the only people that have your ATM card. But if you take that thing and you give it out to 10, 15 people, or if you don't monitor what your kid's doing, they're going to drain your bank account, right? Yeah. And so they're going to use it because they have the code. This is the same thing. Anybody with that code, and again, the code was not controlled, obviously. Anybody could walk in, put any piece of paper, any document, and put the president's signature on it. And it's a real signature with a pen, right?
Yeah, I just get this image of like, Jill going, "You need the pen? Here it is." She tosses it over to Hunter, and Hunter's like, "Yeah, good. I'll sign this one." And "You need the pen? Here, you take it." Like it just got tossed around to whoever happened to be sitting behind the desk that day.
It's crazy.
It's, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It's incredibly serious, because obviously that leads to the very real and important question of, if he didn't sign these legal documents that are policy, that are legislation, that are executive orders, that are, pardons, if he didn't legally sign them, that should invalidate all of them. So
And if you manage one of those things the way they're supposed to be managed, every single signature is supposed to be logged. Wow. So that what was signed, when, and with the authorization of the signator, right? Yeah. So I guarantee you they don't have a log, because if they had a log, they could go back and say, well, this was signed then. Where was the president? Because if anybody went in there and signed anything at 2 a.m., president's not there. That old man's sleeping. Or they could bounce it off of his trips to Delaware, or they could, they could find all kinds of holes in this. But the assumption is that the vast majority of things that were signed when he was in the White House, he had zero awareness.
Yeah. Zero. Yeah. Yeah. And, we're getting so much, after the fact confirmation from people in the know, people from the media, like Jake Tapper. And there's a couple other people too that are now, coming out of the woodwork and going, "Oh yeah, you didn't have a clue what was going on. It was wild over there." Yeah. You have lots of people coming out with confirmation that this guy was not, lights were on, but no one was home. And, it's all what we knew, but to hear it from these people who covered this whole thing, this needs to be looked into, obviously. I mean, and I don't know what's going to happen. I guess you guys can chime in. I mean, chime in on everything, of course, but I think we really want to know your thoughts on this. What should happen at this point? Should they fully investigate it, let it go, and just move forward? I mean, I'm all for investigate it, undo some of the things that he's done. Those pardons right at the top of my personal list. I want those pardons removed. Yep.
I'll tell you who's shaking right now. Adam Schiff.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Loving it. So many things that keep. I have been smiling so much since January 20th. So much smiling that I'm probably going to have to go to my my med spa and get a little Botox or filler or something in my laugh lines. Just kidding. I'm not really kidding, but I'm kidding. Whatever.
Kidding.
Well, you know what? We did it. Holy cow, we did it. We got through all of them. We are
Yep.
so good. We're so good at this.
It's always fun.
It is. Oh my goodness, guys, the usual. We love engaging with you guys in the comments section. We see it. We hop in there and we chime in here and there, and we love your involvement. We love you guys and appreciate you so much. Just the reminder, Clay started off letting everybody know we're recording on Wednesday. You're watching on Thursday. We're watching with you. Clay, go ahead and send them off.
Listen, folks, another great week, and you know the news cycle keeps on rolling. So we appreciate you all tuning in, and we'll be back with more next week. And as always, from me, keep moving, keep shooting.
Take care, guys.
Combat veteran Terry Davis left a life of violence for the quiet Midwest prairie, but a terror threat pulls him back into action. In Tampa, he makes allies and enemies as the danger unfolds. Relying on his combat-honed skills, Terry faces a threat far bigger than he imagined, unsure of who to trust. One thing is certain, to survive, he must keep moving, keep shooting.
Welcome to Chance, the series you'll fall in love with. Picture a small town so warm and inviting, you'll wish it were real. That's Chance, a place where laughter echoes through quiet streets, and every neighbor feels like family. Elsa Kurt's 6-book series captures the soul of small-town life. Follow the lives of 5 families as they weather life's highs and lows, love blossoming, friendships forming, hearts breaking, and healing in unexpected ways. These stories will wrap you in comfort, spark joy, and tug at your heartstrings. Each page feels like a heartfelt embrace. Discover Chance today. Find the series and all of Elsa Kurt's books on Amazon and elsakurt.com.